joined my channel and now I'm going to watch a video. It's a fate lore discussion about who could beat Gilgamesh. And actually this video got a very long duration. It's almost 3 hours, but I'm not going to watch all of it. So I'm just gonna watch the part about Karna and Arjuna. So let's check it out.
Now we're going to be checking out some characters that are very widely regarded as being able to take on Gil, but never really had the chance, at least canonically, or with any sort of certainty. And definitely the most obvious choices would be Karna and Arjuna. Which do you guys want to start with?
Let's go alphabetical. Do start with Arjuna.
You got it. We'll do Arjuna first.
Oh, they're gonna
Mr.
do
Arjuna.
Arjuna first.
The hero of the endowed
Mr.
himself.
Arjuna.
He has a strength of A, an endurance of B, an agility B, mana B, a noble phantasm EX. He's got an A rank independent action, a magic resistance of C, a divinity B. He's got a C plus clairvoyance, so he can see pretty far. And then he's got his special skill, hero of the endowed. Basically gets whatever he needs when he needs it. You'd probably interpret this as like, oh, maybe Gil would give him a break in a bad moment, or somebody could provide him with information he needs, but that's really nebulous. It's a much more narrative type ability. Phantasms, first Agni Gandiva.
Close enough.
Him,
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight it.
which was given to him by the fire god Agni. I'm super Anglo. I'm trying, guys.
Oh, it's fine. It's more about what do these powers actually do versus the naming. The naming is whatever.
Well, it's important to mention that it's the Agni Gandiva because this means it's a divine construct. It's given to him by the fire god. It shoots flaming arrows. When he uses its true name, it is called, basically it becomes a cruise missile. Shoots flaming arrows which have the impact of modern high explosives. It is explicitly noted that it's not necessarily like a tracking missile, but because Arjuna has clairvoyance, they're basically the same. He is such great predictive that he can shoot these with the accuracy that like they did lock on to people. People who have gone against him maybe in FGO we're familiar with. Is a little, it's very, like I said, conceptual. It's got a lot to do with like Hindu philosophy and stuff. But basically, instrument of Shiva, the god of creation and destruction, instantly in the area release from life and death to people who are directly in the zone. And the higher one's divinity is that they are hit by this deliverance and are killed, basically. They are released from the cycle of life and death, so they disappear. While Agni Gandiva means he has a very powerful ranged attack, there's also the reverse. Gil could try and get close, and then, depending on which version of him we see, he has the highest rank of divinity we've ever seen at A+, because, as you said, he is 2/3 god, because the ancient Babylonians did not understand how genetics work yet.
Right.
So-
The way I see it is, this would actually be a contest of trickery and guile of who could get who to fall into a trap first. Because you're basically going on to an archer versus archer battle.
Yeah.
But yes, so the ability of the Pashupata Noble Phantasm we're pretty sure, get Gil. His magic resistance is super low. He's got a very high divinity. Gilgamesh has some kind of like secret trick Noble Phantasm up his sleeve. It would get him, meaning that Arjuna would have to basically pull it out, reveal the the true name of the Noble Phantasm, go through all the motions. Does Gil realize he is actually in danger to stop him?
Right.
As we noted, Gil has a great distance game.
So what you're saying is, in this case, even though Arjuna is really fast and he's also an archer, at the same time, Gil could use just Gate of Babylon to ward him off potentially.
While Arjuna's ranged attacks are very powerful, we don't necessarily know like how fast he can go, and because Gil is shooting Noble Phantasms, it's entirely possible he would find the right tool for the job.
Right.
To just throw as many Noble Phantasms as he needed at the problem to make it go away.
Yeah. And let's not forget, he can fire them off wherever he wants. It's just iconically we know him firing them from behind himself, but as shown in FGO, he can fire them anywhere.
He does that in Fate Zero a couple of times. He uses the portals either behind or around the enemy.
Right.
That's appeared in some other animations as well and is described in Strange Fake. So he can do basically a 360 attack.
Right.
So it's like, I guess the question is like, what is the range and timing of Pashupata? It's like, that would be the thing, because that's basically the clincher right there, but...
Well, what units the range are in, but almost every Noble Phantasm has a range. Pashupada is described as range 1 to 100, and what range Gate of Babylon is supposed to be. The range is not
Oh.
listed. Does that mean it's
And they're
unlimited,
doing
or there are
research
multiple
about this.
ranges? What range is listed? So literally, there's no range listed for Gate of Babylon.
Oh!
Well,
Enema Elish is listed as range
And no range
1 to
information
99.
for Gate of
Right.
Babylon.
that's kind of interesting. But at the same time, if he just needs Gate of Babylon to probably win, I mean, Gil can just be as arrogant as he wants then. That's the problem with this fight.
Yeah.
This is another one of those situations where how Gil's arrogance and ability to sense his enemies, because remember, we did talk a little bit about his clairvoyance type Noble Phantasm. He can sense true names if he feels like it. So he could realize, oh, this is Arjuna. He's that guy. He's got this tool. I should keep my distance and not let him do anything funny.
Wow, we actually got to bring up that skill. Jesus. But you're absolutely right. So basically, if Gil knows it's Arjuna and he's familiar with what he's capable of at all, Gil would basically have to be so arrogant, like beyond his normal arrogance, he'd have to actually be like, you know what? Hit me with it and see what happens. You know, he'd actually have to, like, let him hit him with the Pashupada. Because if he just kept raining Gate of Babylon on him, Arjuna might not be able to stand a chance.
As I said, like, if Arjuna can pull off maybe a tricky move to get in close,
Right, that's basically his best bet, his only chance.
yeah.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is that the Agni Gandiva works is it's basically an extension of his mana burst. He is using energy to shoot those big shots. I'm pretty sure Gil doesn't have to use an excessive amount of mana to open the Gate of Babylon and have stuff fly
It
out
seems
of it.
pretty casual to him, so yeah.
Doesn't like to do it with his
Arjuna
hands in
does
the
have a
pockets
higher
lot.
endurance than him. I think they have the same rough level of mana. They are both rated at B. If Arjuna is using more energy than Gil, he's gonna run out first.
Right.
Actually, knowing Gil, like, he'd probably do the thing. Like, honestly, like, Arjuna could probably win because Gil would probably do the thing where he's filled Arjuna with sword and he decides to walk up close because he has to give us some pithy finishing line.
That is true. Especially if he's fighting Arjuna, who is this legendary divine servant. You
Because
know,
remember, like, think of, like, all of Gil's fight. He has never kept distance. He'll keep, like, a little bit of distance, but, you know, remember, he let Iskander get real close with the chains. He let Herc get real close with the chains.
Person
Like-
he really wanted to keep away, and that didn't work for reasons.
Yeah, so honestly, like, if Arjuna's willing to take a few hits and maybe put on a bit of an act,
And you could argue maybe that's his hero of the endowed coming in. He gets what he needs. It could
Yeah.
be that he gets an opportunity, but like on paper, sure. But when you put the human element into it, it's like I don't. This really could go either
Yeah.
way. A very interesting story.
so at least there is hope for Arjuna, that's for sure. So just because I'm kind of making him seem like an underdog with how I'm talking, it doesn't mean he doesn't stand a chance.
as I said, it will take a very specific
Right.
set of circumstances.
But
Okay guys, before I continue this video again, about the fight between Arjuna and Gil, actually I don't have any idea who will be the winner, because I think Arjuna is a very fast archer, but Gil also has a very powerful 360 degrees attack of his Gate of Babylon, just like what he did in Fate's Strange Fate. So even though Arjuna is pretty fast, but if he is surrounded by 360 degrees of Gate of Babylon, and those Gate of Babylons are moving like tornadoes, just like in Fate's Strange Fate, I think he doesn't stand a chance against Gil. But if Gil is using Ea and release Enuma Elish to fight against Arjuna, I think maybe Arjuna can dodge it because Arjuna is so fast. And on the other hand, maybe Gil cannot avoid Arjuna's noble phantasm, which is Pasupata. That's just my opinion about these two demigod servants because both of them are so powerful. So now let's continue the discussion about Karna.
then we get to Karna. What's the difference there?
Got a strength of B, an endurance of C, but an agility of A, mana B, luck D. So he's relatively unlucky compared to a lot of these contenders so far. Got that noble phantasm EX. magic resistance at C. He's got Riding A,
And the
Divinity
luck
A.
is so
He
terrible.
also has Mana Burst Flames. Personal skills. Now, the first of which is very interesting, which is Uncrowned Arms Mastership, which is not an effect. It has no rank. And basically, this means that so long as Karna himself does not reveal his true name, which I believe would bypass Gil's effect, and everyone thinks his parameters are lower than they are. His own skill, Knowledge of the Deprived, which is how it's localized in FGO anyway, is basically because he's been poor, see the opponent's true nature instantly. Particularly, he can see through lies. He can sense what your core personality is because he has been alone and poor and deprived in his life.
I don't even think he would need that to know that Gil is a total arrogant asshole.
Even if he didn't, he would sense it instinctively. And speaking of Gil's arrogance and assholishness, once again, Uncrowned Arms Mastership means that Gil would not necessarily realize what a threat Karna is right away.
Right.
Yeah. Karna has 3 Noble Phantasms, though he can't use the third one until after he's used the second one, which means he is no longer using the first. He's got a very, like, flowchart-esque aspect here. So the first is Kavacha and Kundala, his armor and earrings. Golden Sunly Armor, which reduces all damage he takes by 9/10. Obviously, we're pretty sure, because the way Anima Elish is described, if Gil actually drops that on him, it doesn't matter. But for all the stuff in Gate of Babylon, this is the ability that let tank everything Vlad was throwing at him in Apocrypha, despite the fact that Vlad was summoned in Romania. And Karna is just like, please don't bother me. He is super durable. Vasavi Shakti, which is ranked EX, which is an anti-god Noble Phantasm. It's a dart he got from the thunder god Indra, which has the power to basically slay anything. It's super powerful. Very wonderfully represented visually in Apocrypha as just incredibly destructive, right?
Right.
Shoots this massive shot. And because it is anti-god, anybody who has divinity is intrinsically more damaged by it. Oh, gee, we just got through this discussion about how Gilgamesh has, like, the highest rank of divinity ever.
In fact, he'd probably brag about it.
Yes. It is also pointed out in CCC, which is another appearance of Karna, that, well, I don't think they directly clash with it, because in writing, Vasavi Shakti is never used. He does not possess anything resembling it in his treasury, so he has no equal to this attack. Using Vasavi Shakti means that Karna has to ditch all his armor, and he gets super weak after, but then he gains his Brahmastra Kundala ability, which basically is energy lance attack thing, which is really powerful. And also he shoots I-beams sometimes. It's basically, I think, it's mostly made up, though it is based on some legends around the time, but mostly it's an ability that was added to him to give Karna something to do after he uses Vasavi Shakti. He would use up most of his actual offensive ability. As a game thing, they gave him an extra attack to use after that, but it's still a giant attack, which is ranked like anti-country, so even if Gil somehow gets out of Vasavi Shakti, Karna's not done, he's just a lot more vulnerable.
Right.
Reverse situation of Arjuna, where, like, Arjuna would have to do something clever to get him with his attack that'll definitely work. Really dumb, or possibly incredibly honorable, because it is Karna.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think
Has a very strong sense of honor to basically give away some of his tricks to Gil before Gil realizes them on his own, because since all the stuff in Gate of Babylon with his armor, if he gets in close and he uses Vasavi Shakti, that means Gil would once again have to pull out the Enema Elish and use it on him. He missed with the dart. Karna's not done then. He can keep going very powerfully.
Mm-hmm.
but the thing about, like, Noble Phantasm specifically is you have to, like, name them, and usually, that's one of the things that's kept secret, because as soon as one of them's named, like, I've seen, like, just about every servant I've seen has, as soon as the Noble Phantasm is named, it's like, I know who that is.
Right.
But so
Well, that's it. It would be that, like I said, Karna would have to give away the information before he was using it. Vasavi Shakti works is after he shoots it, at least normally in the fiction, he's done. He doesn't have another shot in this summoning. The game FGO is very kind to let him use it repeatedly, because otherwise it would be kind of annoying. But yeah, so get a second shot anyway in a fight, so it would all be about making that first shot count, which Karna could probably get that shot in.
Right.
Yeah,
Once again, if it gets to Enema Elish, Karna's done.
But here's the thing: would Karna have to open with Vasavi Shakti in order to win?
Well, with Uncrowned Arms Mastership, as I said, Gil would literally start out toying with him, just using Gate of Babylon beginning. Karna would have already seen through his nature with knowledge of the deprived. He has Mana Burst Flames, which, give us, but his armor will probably let him shrug off a lot of what Gate of Babylon throws at him.
Also, it should be noticed, he has that Agility A. Gil's only ranked Agility C. Karna's very fast. Lancers are fast.
Right.
So,
Possible that he could get to close quarters.
So we might not even get to Enema Elish or Ea or anything like that.
Yeah, because remember, he still has to pull it out.
Right.
Like, honestly, I'm even more so than Arjuna, I feel that Karna could actually beat Gil. Just from how fast he is, how much of an underdog Gil would consider him. He has a trump card in his back pocket, literally, and he can basically shrug off most of what Gil's throwing at him until it gets into close quarters, which I'm pretty sure he can do with Agility A.
Right.
As I said, it's been shown that, it takes a moment for Gil to set up Aya.
And do you think there'd be any way for Gil to necessarily tank Karna's attacks normally? Because I have heard that Gil's armor is also no joke or something like that, but I'm not exactly super clear on that myself.
We didn't touch on this earlier, but maybe it's a good point too. So Gil's armor is weird. It's not a Noble Phantasm or anything. It's like Artoria's armor in Fate's Stay Night. It is created kind of by him as part of being a servant, so it's maintained by his mana and stuff. Sometimes they've described it as repelling curses and whatnot, but at the same time, if it's not a Noble Phantasm, I don't know if that follows because Gil has a very low magic resistance.
That's true.
So sometimes treated as very powerful, but I think that's just because Gil himself is very inherently strong. It's almost like an extension of him.
So basically,
broken too.
So basically, if in this case then you pit him against somebody of similar strength to himself, or maybe even possibly higher, whatever, that might fluctuate, that's arguable. But even so, definitely similar, then the armor that Gil carries might not even be that big a deal to someone like Karna.
Might as well be shirtless.
I guess so.
In Strange Fake, arrows at Gil, and Gil stops him with one hand. He's like, it's no big deal, and it cracks his gauntlet.
Right.
So yeah, it's obvious that if you are a strong enough character, if you start wailing on Gil, his armor will not tank those hits forever.
Right. And as you guys said, the only way Karna can really, I guess, pointing that out, that he would, of course, as a Lancer, he'd want to get into close combat, because that's every fight we've seen him in, that's basically what he does. So it's basically, yeah, Karna would have to do something either dumb or really honorable to lose this fight before Gil would get the bright idea to finally pull out Aya.
Hey.
Which is entirely possible, because it is Karna.
But
Right.
Gil is kind of a colossal asshole and a dick and cruel, a bit sadistic. So Karna might think it's an honorable thing to put him in the fucking ground.
That's very true. That's what I would be hoping for, yes.
Knowledge of the deprived. What kind of person is Gil? A dick.
He kinda deserves it, yeah. So yeah, actually, would you say Karna has a better chance, even considering his character, than Arjuna to beat Gilgamesh in a one-on-one fight?
I do. As I said, Karna has better defensive capabilities. His agility means he can get up in there. He won't be stuck back into a range-to-range combat, which I think honestly is kind of one of the things that might hold Arjuna back.
Right.
Because there's nothing saying that you can't bloody block a damn the Gate of Babylon with a sword. I mean, it's been proven that it can be done. It's been proven that you can grab the weapons out of the Gate of Babylon and use them against Gil.
Right, exactly, as showcased in a great scene with Berserker Lancelot. Everyone remembers that scene.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. Lancelot
So,
grabbed one of Gil's sword.
If Karna's basically making a beeline towards Gil, dodging, fighting off Gate of Babylon to get to whatever range that he needs to use,
Pretty much any attack, really.
yeah, pretty much any attack, Gil would crumble. And if Gil does not literally open with Aya, probably will not have the time to bust it out.
And as as Omega pointed out, he would be at a disadvantage in his own arrogance because of Uncrowned Arms Mastership, because he would probably immediately, unless he knows it's Karna, and even then, it's still Gil, so who knows? He would probably underestimate him anyway.
That's what it does. And makes him seem
So
weaker than-
literally, Gil would go, "Who is this? I can't even sense his power level."
Right. A power level of 5. Pathetic.
Karna does the Karna can.
I'm sorry, now I'm just thinking of the scene from Dragon Ball Z, the first episode.
Okay, now about the fight between Gil and Karna. As I remember in Fate Extra CCC, Karna was defeated by Gil, and also Karna's luck parameter is so terrible because he's a Lancer. I still remember when somebody told me that maybe Karna will stand a chance against Gil if he is being summoned as an archer or saber class servant. And about their armor, I think Karna's armor is stronger than Gil's armor because Gil's armor is not a noble phantasm. And even Heracles can destroy a piece of Gil's armor with his arrows in Fate Strange Fate. And about their noble phantasm, I think both Enuma Elish and Vasavi Sakti are so powerful because both of them are demigods. But I'm so worried about Karna's luck because again he's a Lancer. So my opinion is if Arjuna can still stand a chance against Gil, but I don't think Karna will win against Gil. So that's all my opinion about these 3 powerful servants, and if you guys have another opinion about these servants, you can share it in the comment section and correct me if I'm wrong. So thanks for the one who shared the link of the video in the comment section. I really appreciate it. It's a very interesting discussion about who could beat Gilgamesh, and as usual, if you guys have another video that you want me to react to, just put in the comment section. So thank you guys for watching our video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. See you again on my next video, and take care.